Today is World Adoption Day, and when you consider the millions of children in need of families across the globe, there is no better time to put a spotlight on just how life-changing adoption can be.
We spoke to some folks, some famous and some not, whose lives have been transformed by the power of adoption, including a couple from Bowie, Maryland, who step by step built their forever family. What makes a family? Love, laughter, hugs, and kisses. Tom and Heather Bress know that familiar soundtrack of life well, and they appreciate it all the more because of the hardships they endured to get there.
As soon as we got ready to start trying to have kids, we found out we were infertile. We tried to address the problem medically, and it didn't work. So we started to think about adoption.
But as many adoptive parents may know, the road to being matched with your child can often run into painful setbacks.
We had a situation where we had been matched, and then she changed her mind, right, at the last minute. That was devastating. But you know, in the end, it worked out because when Nathan came along, we were all ready to go.
The Bress's son Nathan was born in April 2003, just a few miles from where they lived. And it wasn't long before the couple decided they wanted to adopt again. Just 2 years later, Nathan was given a sibling, baby brother Zachary.
We had tried to adopt a few more kids, and it just didn't end up working out. So we had kind of thought that we were just called to have just the two.
That is, until the summer of 2016, when the Bresses decided to foster a 12-year-old boy from Colombia named Charlie.
We got to actually spend a month with Charlie, and just a delightful child. He added so much to our family, and we decided to adopt him.
After more than a decade, Tom and Heather finally found their happily ever after. Adoption has touched the lives of some familiar faces as well, like our friend, Chef Curtis Stone, and his wife, Lindsay.
My mother was an orphan, a product of the Korean War, and she lived a very rough life from the time she was 5 until the time she was adopted at the age of 13. Life before adoption for my mother was so painful that she couldn't really talk about it. The only thing that's changed it is love and being chosen by my grandparents and then meeting my father.
Had Lindsay's mum not been adopted into a family here in the US, then Linz wouldn't have been born, and if Linz wasn't born, then I wouldn't have her as a wife, and then we wouldn't have our children.
Now there's family, like now she belongs.
World Adoption Day is really about shining a light on such a beautiful practice that brings kids that need families with families that want kids.
Nia Vardalos, the star of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, struggled for more than a decade before she finally found the little girl she was meant to love forever, her daughter, Ilaria. And even Superman himself, Dean Cain's stepdad, Christopher, adopted him when he was just 3 years old. So we asked some of our friends to share in their own words what their life would look like if it weren't for adoption.
If it wasn't for adoption, I wouldn't have learned how to be a man or a father.
If it wasn't for adoption, I wouldn't be a mom.
If it wasn't for adoption, I wouldn't have the 2 incredible kids that I have right now.
If it wasn't for adoption, I wouldn't exist.
If it wasn't for adoption, we wouldn't have a family.
What a fabulous
That
piece.
was awesome.
Oh my
We
gosh.
want to mention some people may be hesitant to consider adoption because it does cost a lot. There's a financial burden. But one possible solution that's taken off recently is working with crowdfunding organizations that can help people raise money to grow a family. To find out more about all that, you can go to klgandhoda.com for more info.
Oh, gosh, that was
beautiful. That was beautiful.
Next.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.